I wanted to share with you one of the best meetings that we have had in the private group so far for the year of 2023, going over the supply and demand trading strategy, going over my watch list for the week, some great trading talking points throughout this call, how to find good quality trade setups and avoid the bad setups. If at all you are interested in this methodology or trading this methodology, this is a video you want to watch in full as I give you an outlook for the week ahead. And if you're brand new into this methodology and you want to learn more, I would strongly recommend you guys check out my YouTube channel. If you go down to my tips playlist, so you go to my YouTube channel, click tips, and this is going to be a full breakdown of the supply and demand, part one, part two, part three, hour-long videos going over the full methodology, how to take profits, all that good stuff. And if at any time you guys enjoy it, I appreciate you guys hitting the like button. In fact, I appreciate if you guys do it right now. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on social media. So enjoy this full meeting that I have for you guys. This is a meeting that we do every Sunday and Wednesday. The Sunday is going over the weekly prep for the markets ahead, going over any questions. And then the Wednesday is going over the Wednesday trade reviews where we go over everybody's trades, talking about what's good, what's bad. But you're going to hear me talk about that and good quality trade setups in this video. And if you guys would like to learn more about the private group, well, head over to moneyballtrading.com. That will be in the description below. I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to like the video, and I'll see you at the end. So nothing too crazy, but do make sure you do have a look every single day at the news release, as you probably don't want to be taking a very small time frame trade when Aussie bank rates are about to be released. So do make sure you do have a quick look at the news. I thought we would just run through everything extremely quickly, kind of do a quick overview of all the markets, really try to just draw out zones so you guys have ideas of zones that will be on my watch list, 4-hour, daily, weekly zones, and maybe 1-hour zones that are areas of interest, we could call them, to be looking for buys or selling opportunities, and maybe the odd swing trade. Because a lot of news came out last week, which is nice because it creates these big moves in the market, and especially on EURUSD. Some people will be keeping this area of a weekly supply zone on their chart. They're not wrong. It's fine. So the little weekly supply. So when prices come back up into it, which it has, I totally understand why you're looking for selling opportunities. Keep in mind, we are now in an uptrend, obviously. I mean, we've been rallying nonstop for the last, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months now, taking out multiple supply zones. So we are in an uptrend. Any shorts will be counter trend. We go down to the daily, we can see it still higher highs, higher lows. We've been beginning to take out these little opposing daily zones, not the greatest daily, probably 4-hour zones that you're going to hear me talk about them. So I say we just kind of go down to the 4-hour, and then this is probably going to be a nice little 4-hour zone down here. We go down to the 4-hour time frame. Originally, we were looking at this 4-hour demand as a potential buy setup. Unfortunately, we just never got a pullback back into there. So now for any traders that are looking to use the 4-hour time frame as their highest time frame, I think it's a great zone to keep on their watch list, waiting for prices to go back down in there. I'm really not interested in looking for buying opportunities in either of these zones. Maybe in here, sure, but ultimately this is the best zone down here, as the leg out is very significant, very strong and balanced to the upside, removed areas of supply. It also would have broken previous downward momentum lines. So it's definitely a good tradable zone. So if you're going to be using the 4-hour, that's a nice little 4-hour zone to be keeping on your watch list. As well as we'll have nice little, this is 4-hour, but you're going to hear me talk about it on a 1-hour time frame, because the imbalance really started from up here. It didn't really start here. It started from way up here. So I'm sure if we go down to that 1-hour time frame, we could tighten it up to say that's really the supply zone. Sure, some people might be looking to sell it straight up. Sure, but I'm personally not a fan of doing that. I would rather use this 1 hour as maybe a higher time frame and then look on a 1 minute or 5 minute for the selling opportunities. I think if I was going to be selling this whole thing, I would rather target the rally base drop up here as it's higher, and it started the whole reversal, breaking the upward momentum, removing this whole opposing pivot point, right? And we broke, maybe we don't have that open high low close candle yet, but we are breaking that upward momentum line, and this would be the origin of the confirmation as I like to be trading, right? So that would be a potential swing trade short for counter trend traders. Or if you like to day trade, use those two zones and then wait for prices to go back into them, and then you can look for selling opportunities. Pound USD. Let's go to the daily. Let's see, daily. Now let's go to the 4 hour. Looks better on 4 hour. So 4 hour, you're going to have these same zones. Euro USD, that was that 4 hour demand we talked about. That was the 4 hour rally based drop on Euro USD, and that was the 1 hour rally based drop that we said you could probably refine it down a little bit. So these are all going to be the same levels. I don't think I necessarily have to sit here and break down the whole top-down analysis on this, as it is a US dollar pair, and you're going to see these same movements happen in a lot of the dollar pairs and a lot of the other miners and exotic having these big, strong moves. So we'll move on unless anybody has any questions directly about these pairs. But these are still nice.
Sorry, Austin. So in a case like that, then being that they're almost like the same levels on different pairs, you would just pick the one that has the best confirmation, obviously.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay.
Like when I post my watch list, you hear me say this is the same setup on US 500, NASDAQ. You know what I mean? I'll kind of pick the best one, you know, statistically, which one I trade better, but also which one just looks better, you know.
Okay.
New Zealand USD. Daily is still kind of that uptrend. What's nice about this one, New Zealand, it isn't that weekly supply up there. Okay, has been tested once, tested twice, going deeper up into it. Are we breaking this upward momentum? We do need one more candlestick to really confirm this to be a new daily area of supply. And I'm not really happy with this being a daily supply zone, considered a tradable daily supply zone, with this being removed. Right? There's really no demand in there. It's just grinding up. Okay. So in order for me to really call that type of daily supply, I would want to see this candlestick open, high, low, close in this area, because then we would have broken upward momentum, which then therefore is one of the criteria that we use for us to help us determine a tradable zone. And as we know, tradable zones tend to work a lot better than non-tradable zones. And if we go down to the 4 hour, in case you're like, hey, was there any like 4 hour short, I guess we could say? Sure, it's going to be the same zones that we've just been talking about, though, right? So it's the same 4 hour rally-based drop, and it's the same 4 hour drop-based drop there, and it's the same 4 hour demand down here. So as of this second, if I was like day trading, I would be waiting for these zones for price to come back into demand or in these areas of supply. And if you're looking for the swing trade, then I think it's totally fine to be looking for the short up at the extreme. Right? But as of currently, I would be staying away because it's kind of in the middle of no man's land right now. Sure, we could go down to 1 hour time frame, but I don't really see any good 1 hour zones in here to be trading at. It usually just consists of the 4 hour time frame. Those are the ones, the levels that jump out to me. Okay. Aussie, it's going to be the same thing basically. Aussie, in this case, we might have a decent little daily demand in here. That's nice, nice daily. We do have nice little daily supply zones up there. This one has been removed just slightly. So right now it's inside daily demand. It's a nice area to be looking for buying opportunities. So keep an eye on like a 30-minute or 15-minute, 1 hour, if we can capture any buying opportunities down in here with confirmation entries. That's something that I would like to see. And once again, there's going to be the same little zones here as well. All right, we're going to keep this as like a daily zone. USDcad, when I look at this on the daily time frame, I don't see anything. I just see 50% candlestick. So USDcad 4 hour supply. I like this whole area up here. This is, once again, you're probably going to hear me say, where did the imbalance really start from? It most likely started from up here. That's where the sellers really stepped in. So we're just going to tighten it up probably right up there to where the 1 hour rally base drop is. That's just how you're going to get a better fill. That's really where I would see price going back up into before we get some type of sell-off coming in. Okay. Great zone. I love it. Very nice little 1 hour supply zone. It is 1 hour / 4 hours. So if you did want to include that to be a whole 4 hour, that's totally fine. You're definitely not wrong for doing that. It's just if you want more preciseness of where the sellers really stepped in, that's where it's going to be. And then if we also drew a downward momentum line, it's going to be that. And then it would be nice if we could rally up from here to say it's going to bounce off of the 200 moving average as well as the momentum line. And we're kind of selling it as a lower low, lower high. So we're going to be selling in a downtrend, bouncing off of the 200 moving average as well as the momentum line, as well as selling inside supply. So that's something that I like. All right. USD yen. We got the weekly demand that we've been talking about from down here. Once again, hopefully you guys can start to see the type of zones that I'm interested in versus say USDCad on that daily time frame. I wouldn't be drawing out anything. You know, maybe the only type of supply I would have here is probably up here. And it's been tested, which is fine, but that's the nicest imbalance to the downside. Here, I don't see anything. And as for demand, if I was forced to trade anything, it would be down in here. So if you like only want to look at the daily, this is something that I would not keep on my watch list, right? There's always different time frames that we can use. That's why I explained the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour, because everybody's different. So if you look at this and you're using the daily, this is something I would just skip altogether. USD yen, that daily supply that we've been talking about, it's coming back up into that area, as well as reacting off of that weekly demand that we marked off down here a minute ago. We go down to the 4 hour time frame, we're going to see these little zones. We're going to see the 4 hour rally base drop up here. That's a nice little 4 hour supply that I like that will be embedded inside the daily supply, as well as we have the nice 4 hour supply in here as well. Okay. Those are nice areas of supply that I like looking for shorts in, sitting inside daily, sitting inside 4 hour. All right. And as for a 4 hour demand, I like this area down here. I think this would also be confirmation. This would be confirmation 2.0, I guess we would call it. Let's move these over. It's sitting inside weekly demand. We go to the weekly time frame. We notice inside weekly demand. Daily, are we beginning to break that downward momentum? Yeah, it would just be a lot better if we could just break that daily downward momentum, because then it will then therefore create a tradable daily demand from down here, which is also, it's already confirmed on the 4 hour time frame, this whole general momentum line on a 4 hour lower low, lower high type of structure. But it would just make it that much better if it's a daily break versus a 4 hour. And then plus we're actually breaking above this 200 moving average as well, which is something we haven't done in quite some time, since November. So it's definitely showing it's trying to show some type of strength that buyers trying to step in. And when we place any type of confirmation 2.0s, it's always going to be, I would recommend a structure stop and not place it right below the lows, like right here. I would always place it below the whole lows. Spot, you with me on that? USD Mexican. Did you remain in this trade, Spot?
No, I got out as soon as it kind of came up to like even. So Stanley agrees it was not its trade.
I had my pending order there. We've talked a lot about this market, so I don't want to overdo it, but we know it's inside the weekly, monthly area of demand from down here. That was always on the watch list. The set and forget was at the extreme. Just a quick recap of it. The set and forget was way down here at the very extreme. That's where the buyers really stepped into the market. So that's where we're getting the best value for our buck. And so that was the set and forget that played out. Go down to the 4 hours so we can see a better price action report. Worked really well. But then the confirmation setup was that waiting for prices to come in, prices then showing evidence of buyers stepping into the market. And we're going to see that by removing the opposing supply zones, downward momentum lines being broken. And then this was the new 4-hour pivot point demand that we were talking about. That's one that I was going to take on my watch list. But unfortunately, we just kind of died out here like a dead fish for like 2-3 weeks right here. No, 1 week. Yeah, about 1 week, 8 days, 9 days. It just kind of died out here, cutting my profit margin. So instead I said, I won't take it, but I'll use it for my swing trade, right? But if somebody still took it, that's totally fine. And then ideally we said structure stop would be the safest bet. Placing it below the whole area of the weekly demand / monthly demand would be the structure. Though if somebody wanted to be more aggressive, kind of placing it down in that general area, you would most likely be getting stopped out in a play like that. So when we were talking about this last week, I mentioned that it was already inside the zone, and we were talking about buy stops and sell stops, and that's why I entered the Euro Canadian short that we'll eventually get to, but I will discuss more of that in detail in the Wednesday meeting. But that was the sell short on eurocad. I had a buy limit sitting in here as well, while prices were right here. I was going to get filled if prices take up to the upside, but I had my alert set to notify me if I was getting filled or if it was going below. And so I no longer wanted to enter in that. So once the alert got hit that it was dropping more and it removed like this whole demand area, I think it was like right here, that's when I pulled my order. And then that's kind of right where I saw it starting to ricochet up and just start blowing up, which I was okay with because, you know what, I was in Euro Canadian anyway. So I was like, doesn't really matter. It worked out in the end, but I'm happy with how I managed that. I didn't get in. I wasn't happy with the profit margin, but I thought it'd be higher probability if I'd wait for a buy stop entry. So we do have new 4-hour. We can talk more about this maybe Wednesday, but I really feel like we've beaten a dead horse with this one. We have these new 4-hour zones that I do like. Not necessarily for a buy confirmation, because I feel like this is really I mean, you're not wrong. It's totally correct to go based off of this being your momentum and the supply being removed, the confirmation that I like to see. That's perfect and all. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like I want to see this being removed, and I'm not 100% sold on it. So instead, I think using these as 4-hour zones as your higher time frame is the better bet. But if I was going to enter on a trade like this, I would target the lower one and not the higher one. But like we've said, there's 2 ways to enter this. Some traders will have their half entry here on this zone, and half will have it down here. They'll split their order totally fine, while other traders will take the extreme.
Would you
There's pros
consider
and
that
cons.
good strength? Just because I'm looking at it, like you've got your one leg out and then you're starting to make another base.
Yeah,
again.
I get it, because some people might argue that because why didn't it take off to the upside if there was really a lot of buyers? I totally understand that. But then the way that I was explaining this early on, because I had that same question, we're hoping that they're going to be exhausted, basically. The buyers and sellers trying to fight it out in here. So hopefully if prices continue down, they'll be exhausted, right? I don't really like to think about it like that, but that is a way that I was introduced into that concept, which I understand. Do you get that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So typically, unless prices, well, just in general, there'd be less sellers stepping into the market down in here versus up here. Okay.
Austin, question about the buy stop order.
Uh-huh.
So when your order gets triggered, once it gets triggered, then you enter the stop loss? Is that how it works with a buy stop order?
Yeah, you're going to get filled once prices continue to move up.
Okay, and then you would place your stop loss, right?
Well, you have a pending order, a buy stop, and then you get filled if prices continue to move up. So if I placed a buy stop right here, like let's just say right in this general area at 19 exactly, I will not get into this trade until prices go above it. You know,
okay,
that will be an indication to me to say buyers are stepping in, you know, and some people will do that. instead of buying it as a buy limit or sell limit.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
usually place buy stops and sell stops on swing trades if I'm away from the charts and I come back and I'm like, oh, that's a trade that I should be in or a trade that I like. And then I'll say, we talked about it last week. You could say there's two approaches. Let's just say there's two approaches to this. Let's just say we were trying to buy that as our demand. Let me delete everything. If we're trying to buy that as our demand, and by the time prices were coming back into it, originally, let's say that is where I want to get in, right where that top black line is at 18.64. We would be getting filled right here, right? But when I came to the chart and we were talking about this during the meeting from last week, it was right here. And I said, well, there's two ways you could approach this. You could have a buy stop sitting originally where we wanted to get filled, right? And we'll get filled if prices continue to rally up and it goes up, which is great. Or what you could do is you just buy instantly right now. And what you'll get with that is you'll have a really good reward to risk, right? So instead of getting filled here, now you're getting a really good fill of entering down here and keeping your stop loss at the same location. And so by the time prices, like, let's just say prices do go up to here, I don't know, let's just use this as an example. You're getting a 3-4 to 1 versus originally, if that was your original take profit, you're only getting a 1 to 1. You know what I mean? But you run the chance of entering that trade and prices going against you and you get stopped out. And if prices go against you and you get stopped out, well, then the trader that had their proximal line here, sorry, not their proximal line, but had their buy stop here, did not get into the trade. And they're okay. They're like, hey, I just avoided a loss. You know? So there's pros and cons. This guy is waiting for a not necessarily a better fill, but a higher probability trade of it being a winner because he's now waiting for the buyers to step in, you know?
Yep. Okay, perfect. I never used a buy stop order. So.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to use them on smaller time frames because you really got to get your entry precise and you don't want to be chasing, you know, price on the 1 minute and 5 minute because it moves extremely quickly. And these little differences between, you know, originally a 15 pip entry to exit turns into a 20. That's an extra 25%, right? It's a big difference. So it definitely does add up. You understand?
Yes, thank you.
The only time I'll use it is swing trading.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, USD Singapore. We've been talking about this for quite some time, waiting for the buyers to step in. This has been the upward range and sideways market, buy low, sell high type of market that we've been talking about. So I like this down here, always looking for buying opportunities. Plus, we're kind of, some people will see this as like support. I understand that. I respect it. Support / demand, waiting for buyers to step in. Weekly, daily, talking daily here, just lower lows, lower highs. And this could be our momentum, something like that. So we're finally starting to see some type of break, and I don't like the daily. I want to see this on a 4 hour. All right. This looks a lot better. I think originally any type of buyers, we were talking about this before, the bottom half of that zone, because that was a sign of the confirmation. Okay. Now, nothing. Say again?
Yeah, on the weekly, would that be an aggressive trend down?
Yeah, you could use it. It's okay, yeah, that's fine. As long as we kind of have three. I mean, it's definitely in a downtrend. Well, I don't know. I call it, we scroll out, I'm going to call it a sideways market, you know, but definitely short term, month over month, like 2-3 months, yeah, it's definitely downtrend. But if we go like super long term, it's definitely sideways, right? So we're kind of hoping that, hey, it's overextended now short term regarding the weekly analysis over the last 2 months, 3 months, 4 months maybe. It's been nonstop candlesticks to the downside. So we're kind of hoping that this thing is overextended and we're going to see buyers step in, and we're low on the range as well. And it's overextended. We just have to see the buyers step into the market to really give us confirmation. And we go down to the 4 hour and lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. I think originally one of the potential buyers stepping in was from down here when we had that break. I think that, if you recall. Then we eventually continued down, lower low, lower high, and now I don't think I have to draw this out. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to understand and look at. Lower low, lower high, and now we got those buyers stepping in. The only problem I have with this is the buyers didn't really step in, but I don't necessarily really care about that. It's like they're waiting for the news to come out from last week. This was Friday's job numbers and all that. This was from the Wednesday Fed rates. This move to the downside, which is fine. I'm thinking, okay, it's going lower. Great. I'm not just buying straight up anyways. I don't care. And then the job numbers came out and it's like finally starting to take off to the upside. So this is really where the buyer stepped in. And for swing trade, I think it's valid. I think the higher zone is definitely better, but as me being, for me, for trading this methodology for, I don't know, 8 years, I always like the drop-based rally. The thing is, the drop-based rally isn't the greatest because the buyers really stepped in on the higher margin zone. I think entering on a trade like that,
the 1 hour, the 1 hour has a good drop-based rally.
Hold on. And then a stop loss below the whole structure. You know,
That would be a hugely wide stop loss, though. Where would
Very
you
wide
take
stop.
profit?
You're either looking for, well, multiple take profits. You're kind of riding this whole thing as a swing trade. That's what you're kind of hoping for, right? You're preparing yourself to be in positions for a couple of weeks to a month, maybe 2. Ultimately, the best take profit is up here, but definitely, I think, you know, getting out, managing your position after 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 is a good bet, right? At least managing your position or getting out. You understand?
Yeah.
Because it is wide, or like we just talked about through the previous analysis on these charts, going to the drop-based rally is fine as well. You're going to be getting a better fill in general.
Or split between the two, like Erica does.
Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine because it is a very nice break. You know, very nice break. Momentum lines is 200 as well. Just extra confluence to the trade. And then, like, sometimes we talk about these setups. Oh, that was a good chart to draw on. It was all white. I can do that. You know, what was I going to do? Originally, usually that, right? But then like that, and then some people will look to buy that, right? And in this case, it's like that, and you're kind of playing the reaction of the, I don't want to call it support, but the reaction, I guess, off of the momentum line break and using this demand zone, you know, and it'll be the demand zone from down here. And that's kind of the play here. Ultimately, this is always what I prefer, but secondary, this will be it. So because of that, maybe smaller risk, you know, I mean, definitely for me, for my style, if I was taking this, I would do smaller risk because of that. Cool. We got a lot to go through, so I want to kind of speed through this stuff. USD Swiss downtrend. This would be a set and forget here. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. In general, weekly, everything is down. Even as a one time frame trade setup, because we're trading a daily, weekly downtrend, this would be a 4 hour one time frame setup, right? If we're looking at this, in general, 4 hour higher high, higher low, break in momentum, opposing zones removed, and creating new lows in the market. I would use this as it's either, it depends how you look at it. It's either a set and forget using the daily 4 hour / 1 hour or one time frame sequence setup. It's basically the same thing in general. And then the extreme up here is where prices are currently right now. And I think that's actually a decent short.
I almost got in that one, but when it wicked up into the base, it was like 7 a.m. right at the time a news release was coming out. So I skipped it. So now I'm
Maybe, yeah, you can enter a position now if you want. Just smaller risk.
I guess for
Target.
something like that, that's on the 4 hour, would you be worried about whatever news is coming out upcoming in terms of?
No,
Okay.
no.
Is
Let's
that
continue
because
on.
is that
What?
because it's a higher time frame? Is that why you wouldn't be worried about it?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Let's look at US 30. Yeah, we're gonna go through stock market, gold, silver, and then we'll rifle through these other currencies, and we'll hit some of these commodities as well. Let's just go in order. So daily, don't really see anything. Definitely there's some type of selling coming in up here. There was one zone I wanted to talk about, and that was this 30-minute. I think that was on my watch. It's better on the, let's go US 500. So that's what it looks the best on. US 500. My broker feed is good. Is it? 1 hour, 30-minute. Yeah, so like daily, I think just overall general uptrend. I think I was talking about that's daily supply up in there. Maybe we can tighten it up to say, where did the sellers really come in? That's the supply up there, which is nice. 4 hour uptrend. So like typically if I'm ever going to use the one time frame sequence setup, I generally always want to be trading with the trend. You like the higher time frame trend, just in general. I think it's best to be trading with that. Like if it's like price in a serious uptrend, like say weekly uptrend, let's just use weekly as an example, weekly higher highs, higher lows, nonstop. And then we get like a sell setup on a 4 hour time frame that I've been explaining during this whole meeting. Because the whole trend is in an uptrend, I don't really like looking for that shorting opportunity because you're kind of trading against the trend. It's not inside higher time frame supply. Weekly trend is in an uptrend. Like I'm trying to explain things off the top of my head. I should just be using this as an example. If this is like, say, the weekly time frame, let's just take this aside from we know it's in demand and we know it's at the bottom of the range. Let's just take it as an example. Non-stop lowers, lower low, lower highs. I'm really not inclined to be buying this as a one time frame sequence setup unless it's sitting inside a higher time frame demand, right? Versus the USD Swiss, at least here, we're trading with this daily in a non-stop downtrend. You know, lower lows, lower highs, we're selling inside daily supply. It's also a valid one time frame trade sequence, right? So I'm more inclined to take a trade like this. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work, right? It's one of the worst things that you can do is say, oh, I lost. Why did I lose? You know, always looking for reasons. I lost trade. What happened, right? Always pros and cons. So I'm just more inclined trying to stack things on my side to why this is a good trade. So on that US 500 in general, one up. US 500. 1 hour, 30-minute. Here, at least the uptrend, the trend was like an uptrend, right? Widen this out. Valid 30-minute demand zone as a setup. Kind of wondering what happened up here on a smaller time frame. Really quickly, I'm just curious.
4 hour look better.
The 4 hour supply?
The 4 hour uptrend with the momentum line.
It's a nice confirmation. The 4 hour momentum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one.
So maybe like this, or maybe this is fine. That's personally would be mine. Was that yours, or were you using something like this?
I was using the second one you drew in that third one.
Yeah. So that's fine. At least in this one, you're buying it in up like 4 hour uptrend, you know, 30-minute lower low, lower high, like you're removing the supply zone, you're breaking the momentum. Like that's always what I like to see. So that's another case of why I like this one versus if it was a selling opportunity, you know. But the fact that we're coming up in, that's why I like that short up there. Like in this case, just so you guys know, like why do I like this one then? Is because it's sitting inside a 4-hour supply zone, like a really good 4-hour supply zone. Just keep in mind, it's counter trend, right? I see a lot of people making this mistake when they send me trade reviews that are not here in the private group. And I'm questioning, like, okay, why would you take that as like a straight up a set and forget? And they're not trading at like a zone like this. They're trading at like just like a general based drop or something like that. And it's like a heavy uptrend and it works great, but just from my experience, hasn't really done well for me long term. So instead, and in general, counter trend, you guys know there's a 20% difference spot. There's a 20% difference in my winning trades versus my counter trend trades. And then there's a 10% difference between my trending versus sideways, and then another 10 in my sideways to counter trend. So just in general, I like buying with the trend or selling with the trend, right? So if it's counter trend, it needs to be inside higher time frame. So there's so many different levels to this methodology. And so it can be very confusing and very overwhelming for a lot of people that don't necessarily know what's going on, especially if you're trying to learn it all at once, right? And so that's why I always say, keep it simple at first. You got to learn the basics. What is a tradable zone? What is the theory behind this? How to identify good quality zones? What is the top-down analysis? Managing your risk properly. It's all very important stuff that honestly a lot of people just don't do. I had some guy actually reach out to me on social media saying this weekend saying he's failing, he's new to trading, and he's taking this funding challenge and he's down, I think, like 4%, and he's freaking out. And I'm like, why are you taking a funded challenge if you're not profitable? You know, it's like one of the biggest red flags that you shouldn't be doing. Anyways, any comments on anything I just rambled on about for the last 2, 3, 4 minutes?
So just to confirm, you'd be looking at, you were seeing confirmation on the 5 minute on that.
This could be an example of a one time frame sequence trading with the trend. Okay.
I guess I just didn't see a good, like, where's your good quality pivot removal? I guess
Here.
you kind of do eventually, but it feels like it takes a long.
That?
Oh, no, I meant for the short.
This was the.
Right, so that's your base, but where's your, I guess you kind of remove?
Well, we'd be using like a 5 minute, right?
Yeah. So you're using, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just different time frame sequence, right? 4 hours our higher time frame, 5 minute as our entry time frame,
Yeah.
which is what I always preach, right? 5 minute or 15 minute lowest. Ooh, lowest.
That was my boy. Sorry.
Nice.
Wait,
What'd you
has
feed him
that?
today?
Sorry,
What's that?
No, go ahead, finish the conversation. I was going to ask a question, but
No, yeah, ask, please.
did that trade play out already though? With that wick waking up on the 5 minute?
This? Yo, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make you would just give an example of why you like that.
This is an example. Yeah, this is a very good example.
All right.
Thursday.
I do have one question. You wouldn't be concerned about looking at the long, you wouldn't be concerned about it. Well, maybe now you're zoomed in. You wouldn't be saying that it's reacting off of the 4 hour, and you wouldn't be concerned about that.
It is something slightly to be concerned about. I agree.
think
It's a different level to it.
Like it more when you're at a higher time frame, but less so on the 5 minute.
Well, it's, you know, at least you're outside of this zone. You know, there's some separation. You know, at least we're not sitting inside way up here in this 4 hour supply, right?
Yeah.
You good on that?
It just looks like you're directly bouncing off of that, right? To me, but fair enough. Sometimes I don't know when to pay attention to that and when not to. Stanley, quiet, please.
Well, yeah, there's always different time frame sequences to use, right? So it's important that we are consistent with the way that we are approaching it for individual traders to make sure we don't overwhelm ourselves, you know, because then you start adding weekly, then you start adding the 4 hour, and the 1 hour, the daily, and then you start adding the one time frame sequence, and you got different trend. You got a weekly uptrend, but price sitting inside monthly supply with a daily downtrend with a 1 hour sideways market. You know, it's very overwhelming, right? And so this is why I will say keep it simple at the start, but I think you understand what you got to do here. And if it's concerning, then you don't take it, right?
Yeah.
As long as you can report back to me after, no, not me, I'm just saying in general, as long as you can take 20 good trades, just take 20 as an example, as long as you can take 20 good trades and they're all with their rules, then you should be doing pretty well in my opinion. Okay, good. Let's move on. Let's go to oil. It's been getting whacked. So oil, this has been the daily supply we've been keeping on our charts for quite some time now. We are sitting inside daily demand here. It's just not the prettiest. It took a very long time relative for the amount of candlesticks on the daily time frame for it to remove this area, but it's not like it's a good area of supply. This is really the kind of momentum line that broke, and this is the tradable demand, and that's kind of where this demand reacted off of. So it's like we kind of have these two zones stacked on one another, but it's such a wide base that like it's not that pretty. It's still valid. It's just you want to make sure that it's a very good lower time frame trade if you do capture one. Yeah. Ultimately down here is the best. Like even this 4 hour zone down there hasn't been tested yet. That's the best zone down there that I like. So I would keep these areas on my watch list, but I really don't see this being the zone that takes off to the upside. It's not like it removed. If this whole area ended up breaking above and removing this supply, okay, different story here now, right? But it just hasn't really accomplished anything. It's really got to show me something. At least here, you know, the short that we took was in the oil trades, right? Was up in there on the 1 hour. I think I executed mine on the 5 minute. Somewhere up in here. Can't really remember. I think it was up in here. Up there, a 5 minute, yeah. Then I was out at like 3 to 1 or something. Anyways, that's old. Now, I like the 1 hour supply. If I'm going to scalp this, I'm going to use this 1 hour supply. And we have this little supply up here as well. Pivot points, new lower low, lower high areas. That's what I like. I'm not going to be selling after prices just made this big move to the downside. It's going to be tough to get confirmation as well. We just got this big move. It's very difficult to get lower time frame confirmation. So that's why I'm kind of saying it's a scratch. It's chalked, some people might say. But yeah, ultimately, I like that 4 hour demand that we just mentioned. I like that area down here best. You guys good on that? Gold, I think gold is interesting. Maybe do have a very nice 4 hour supply here and 4 hour supply here and 4 hour demand in here. Very nice 4 hour supply and demand zones. I will definitely keep on my list. Is it a swing trade? I don't like shorting gold. You guys know that. But if it is a multiple time frame, it is 100% valid, but I will not be selling it. That would be also another example. I know we've talked about this a lot today. Like people will sell that and then go down while other people will wait for that and sell down. Or what you could do is different color here, 5 minute entry, wait for that, or wait for this, right? Totally valid based off of different time frame analysis or buying down in there. Okay. Oh, I was gonna look at the weekly, that's right. Not a big fan of this weekly. Not a big fan. Daily, yeah, at least it's sitting inside daily. So if we had to pick it, we're at least picking the very extreme of a weekly area like that, and it is daily supply. And these daily candlesticks, it's going to be a valid short. It totally is, because our daily momentum line is going to be like that, right? Kind of grinding up, nonstop, higher high, higher lows. And this thing has been on quite a tear, if you guys recall. You guys know we've been preaching.
But it would be counter trend, right?
will be counter trend, but it's okay. It's a very nice break confirmation. We just need a candlestick to close, which you're going to get that unless we have a massive day to the upside. But ultimately, it's still a very nice 4-hour supply zone up there at the extreme. Okay, you know, maybe some people are like, well, what about this area spot? Do you want to tell people why we wouldn't use that?
Because it hasn't really made a new lower low. Hasn't really broken the momentum line.
What do you think about the leg out?
Also, the leg out is, as I look closer, kind of crappy. Yeah. Not very good. Lots of 50% candles.
Yeah, horrible, right?
Yeah.
It's just, there's no leg out. It just dies, right? There's nothing special to it. So hopefully a lot of people listening to this, that you guys are picking up, like why we are looking at some certain zones versus other zones. And big thing is leg outs, right? That's an indication of sellers coming in or buyers. Silver, it's going to remain the same, but we can just do a quick zone analysis so we don't spend too much time on the same markets, same zones, 4-hour zones there.
I don't think silver has the same high time frame zone applicable to it when I was looking at it.
It's the weekly up there. It is weekly. It's a better weekly, but this is once again where I'm probably going to step in and say, just see if we can tighten it up. And yeah, that's kind of, that would be my weekly. I would include this little base here. And that's personally where I think the sellers, that's what I would say. When prices were rallying up, I would say, you know, I feel the most comfortable is selling. Say again?
Oh, it's not in it yet, right? Whereas
Correct.
gold is right on the edge of it.
Correct. So I'd rather trade gold.
Yeah.
But I'll also use all these zones to be looking for buying opportunities. And for Monday this week, if it continues to sit in here, yeah, I'll use all these zones to look for buys or sells on smaller time frames. Bitcoin. Have a quick look. It's that whole daily area we've been talking about. The last areas of interest that have been on our watch list. This area, okay. And this demand is something I like. Now we go down to smaller time frames. I like the area currently where it's sitting at right now. Down in here, I like that area, kind of higher high, higher low type of stuff. So honestly, you could draw out this whole general area, but ultimately it's kind of that area. But I wouldn't sit here and say the sellers took control if prices just dropped a little bit, like down here. I wouldn't sit here and say, wow, we got a lot of sellers coming in. No, it doesn't really look like it. So it's just kind of chilling out right now. And those are valid areas to look for buying opportunities. I saw on Friday there was a nice 15-minute zone. Maybe it's 30-minute. This is just this area down here. I like that area. When I was looking at the one time frame, I think that would also be valid as well. Okay, little demand zones. Nice supply. But now, 1 hour, like I said, I like that whole 4-hour area of demand. If I'm using these 1 hour zones here. No, not that. I'll just leave this. Yeah. Any questions on that? Any other cryptos that you guys wanted to look at?
Can we go back on the 1 hour chart for Bitcoin real quick?
Yes.
I have a question with that supply that you just drew out. All that basing on the side and not a strong, like a rally base drop. Yeah, that doesn't bother me. Like
all that base
that,
here.
Yeah, there's no right there where you first were at. There was not like a strong up. Yes.
No, it doesn't really bother me. It would be better, but it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
To me, it is.
All right.
Good.
Good.
Did you look at Euro USD earlier? Or sorry,
Euro USD, we started with it, yes.
probably did. Okay, ignore me. Oh, good.
Okay, pound, euro pound. Nothing really, weekly, nothing, 4 hour, nothing. Daily, we got something, but it's a very wide base for a daily. Yeah, maybe like that. It's so wide. I think there's better markets to trade, to be honest. Let's skip it. Just ugly too. Unless there's something that you guys really saw, please let me know. Pound yen, that's the supply that we've been talking about for the last week, not week, like the last 3 weeks, month. And this is the bottom of the demand. Not the greatest, but the reason we've been talking about this being demand is the break in downward momentum. Right? It's tradable. We're saying the bottom half of it. So it's still fine. Sometimes you'll see these markets just range out for 2-3 months and just stay in this sideways range. So that's going to remain the same as my demand down here, supply up there. And then maybe we got smaller time frame 4 hours levels. Yeah, like little 4 hour supply zones in here. Totally valid. Then you'd be going down to a 5 minute, right? Euro yen, I say we can quickly skim over these ones because it's the exact same zones, right? Same supply. Unless there's a conversation that you guys wanted to have, same demand. Once again, taking the bottom half of it just because the buyer's kind of really, that's a very wide base. I'm going to
It's probably
go down.
irrelevant now, but that when you're going up to the higher time frame, that a supply zone above the next supply zone up, that one, how would you market that one? Because it's kind of
I would
wide.
go like that. I would go like that. Yeah.
That looks
And
pretty strong to me.
you can always go down, right? You can always go down to a smaller time frame, like in this case, the 4 hour. Don't go down to like a 30 minute, right? Go down one more smaller time frame to
And
refine
so
it.
when I get a 4 hour, I look at obviously that one rally based drop is strong, but then the one above it doesn't look that great. So I'm almost tempted to only look at the narrower.
Yeah, but then we go back to this conversation to say, well, it's a daily supply and it's a very good imbalance, right? So I would keep both. Yeah, keep both.
Okay.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, so it's going to remain the same. Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, CAD yen. Nope. Somewhat. This one was always different. I think that's the supply. I like it. Still keep it on the list. 4 hour zones. I know you definitely do have some nice little 4 hour zones down in here. I think that was a nice little 4 hour supply. Right, it's been removed, and we're touching this 4 hour supply up here now. So let's continue. Aussie, New Zealand, nice daily supply up in here. I like that. Daily supply, it's remained on our watch list. And then the daily demand is down in here. Uptrend. Right, removed two supply zones, and we have the ability to draw upward momentum line. Well, we've also removed this area here. So yeah, it's in an uptrend anyways. Price currently inside supply. I like looking for shorts. I like that break. I like the momentum. It's just why I wouldn't sell this whole area is because the evidence of sellers never really stepped in. Right? It's taken too long. There's no real evidence of sellers stepping into the market. So I'd skip it.
If you're looking for longs in that demand zone, would you be concerned about it reacting off the top because it's kind of close? Or if you're on like a 5 minute, maybe you wouldn't worry about it?
No, I think it's fine. No, I wouldn't worry. Because at least you're sitting in a daily uptrend. You're sitting inside daily demand and a daily uptrend, right?
Yeah.
You got those 4 hour zones as well in there. I'm just stretching this one down across just to include that drop base rally down here. Aussie CAD. Nice supply, nice supply. Maybe demand. Hesitating to really call that, but same zones, all right? Same areas. This one did break above this area of supply that we've been talking about, but it just wicked above, which is not very convincing to me to say the supply has been fully removed. Now, if for new traders, I would tell traders to stay away from this type of stuff because it's very subjective to say, well, it didn't really have a strong close. And people will ask, well, how far is too far? So for new traders, I would tell them to completely ignore this and just skip it and move on and only trade when prices are inside higher time frame zones. But you'll see me take those trades like that, and where it just slightly breaks it above, and I'll continue to look for shorts if I like it. In this case, kind of this higher high, higher low. I don't really see anything that I like, but I like these 4-hour zones. I like this. I think if you were going to sell it, I wouldn't partake in this, but how I would play this is at least I would have my entry on that zone and not the drop-based drop. I think they're based off of what I've seen. I think there's better pairs out there to trade a short like that. Aussie Swiss, nothing on the weekly. Daily, I like this. I like that daily demand, daily uptrend. So if we were going to do any set and forgets, that's my daily upward momentum, higher high, higher low. Is there a set and forget? No. Maybe 4-hour. I mean, if you really wanted to, you have to be at the extreme, but not too much of a fan of doing that. I would rather use the whole daily. And I don't really see anything here on 4-hour that I would keep on my list. If you see something you like, then that's you, but it just doesn't really jump out to me. Ultimately, this is the nicest 4-hour / daily demand out there. New Zealand Swiss, I like this as in being demand. It's very nice. It's also going to be a daily zone as well. Okay, nice daily demand. Yeah, slightly daily, slight. I just wish that price would have gone above here and made a new high. It didn't do that. So that's why I'm kind of saying it would have been a lot better, but it's still a very nice 4-hour zone that I would keep on a list to buy at on smaller time frames. Okay. So if I was going to buy, I would obviously need to see it move up like that, right? Pound CAD. Like I said, we got to go through this quick because there's a lot. Pound CAD demand from down here. I like that. And then probably if we go down to a smaller time frame, we'll find a supply there and then continue to draw. This is fine. It's all right. It's okay. Let's see 1 hour. Yeah, that would be the 1 hour. Okay. So yeah, it's a nice 4-hour demand that it's currently in. Just note any longs will be counter trend, which is fine. Right? At least you're buying after this big move to the downside. It kind of looks like we got impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. Seems like a good time a correction play might come in as well as we're sitting inside demand. Okay, pound Swiss. Nothing weekly, nothing daily. Let's skip it. Wheat. I like the daily up in here. I like the daily. 4-hour. Yeah, the 4-hour zones could be broken into 2 separate areas. Here and here. Looks to me like they're potentially just wicking people out. But don't see any great shorts. Like if I was trying to sell this thing, great. It's on my watch list, but there's nothing really yet. Right? There's nothing yet. I think there's a better one on, I think it was soybeans that we were talking about. So yeah, just nothing. I like the demand from down here. Okay. Soybeans. Yeah, that was the short, the 1-hour zone that I liked. This one, very nice move to the downside, removed demand, broke upward momentum. That's something that I like. This is on the daily. So daily, it's nothing too special. 4-hour. It's also going to be a 4-hour supply. So it'd be like a 4-hour / 1 hour zone that would break this somewhat upward momentum, this short-term momentum. I think long-term, you know, in general, would be like, oops, something like that. So then short-term, you're thinking like this, right? And then 1 hour would be the 1 hour rally base drop up there. So that's already played out. Yeah.
Was that a 4 hour chart? Was that in like in a channel?
A downward channel.
Upward. Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this, relatively short, not short term, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cotton is very ugly. I don't see anything. Let's skip it. Sugar white. The last supply, if you recall, was that area. It's a decent little supply zone. I like the demand from down here, probably on a higher time frame. And we got some type of little demand here. Honestly, this is not a chart that I like. Actually, when I look at this right now, you know, I definitely like this whole area. Why? Because it's originated from the extreme here that would have broken this. And I'm kind of thinking like, it doesn't matter the time frame, right? This is why I'm always jumping to different time frames for you guys. It's not necessarily for me. If I'm using a 4 hour in this case, right, go down to a smaller time frame, maybe 5 minute, 15 minute. Do I see anything good? Nah, it's very wicky. You'd have to play something like that. I wouldn't trade that. I would do that. I always want to find a structure to the base, and I just see a wick shooting down. So skip that. That's just one of those zones that have a really nice higher time frame, but not a very good lower time frame. And I was kind of hoping that we would see a good setup in here. We don't. Corn. No, skip it. Don't like it. I mean, yeah, sure, we got daily levels in here that are nice, but let's move on. Coffee. Last week, I think we were talking about this area on coffee. And 4 hours just continuing to grind up. Yeah, so last week we were talking about this, saying I don't mind it grinding up like this. It's totally fine. Just need to see the sellers coming in, right? And we just didn't see anything. It was just nonstop higher highs, higher lows. Like there was no evidence of sellers, which is fine. You know, not every zone's going to hold, and that's why we wait for confirmation. So in case here, I don't really see anything now. And I'm not a big fan of, you might be thinking, well, what about this? Yeah, it's great and all that it removed this supply and broke this downward momentum and all that. It's just the buyers really didn't step in my opinion. Like, go down to the 1 hour, really don't see anything. It's just slowly grinding up. So I'm not a fan of that. Natural gas is one that is sitting inside monthly demand. So we've talked about this from the last month or two with these two demand zones, saying I like that demand on the monthly and this one lower down here. We never really got any confirmation of buyers coming in, it just continued to grind through, which is fine. We don't mind that. We don't just buy at every zone, right? In this case, it's continued to just grind through. So I'm still waiting for buyers to step in. That's really what I'm waiting for, a long-term position buy in natural gas. And we've talked about this. I would keep an eye on COT reports to see if the buyers are stepping in and they're getting out of their short positions and entering long ones, new long ones, and not just closing it. It's a commodity that we use every single day with natural gas. It's important, but it is very cheap right now relative to, I mean, what it was last year. You know, it's down what? No, not 600, 75.
Austin, you said you use Zero Hedge to learn about these reports.
Yes.
Not that
it's
great.
Well, Zero Hedge I use to like read up all just general news.
Oh, general news. Okay.
Zero Hedge. You know, the latest big news has been the Chinese spy balloon.
I know. What's up with that?
Honestly, I think it's just propaganda.
Yeah.
I think it's just propaganda. Obviously, China says, I think they were coming out saying it's like a student art project or weather project experiment. I don't know. In my eyes, it's not a big deal. I think it's just funny how big the news is blowing it up. I think it's just like a big diversion. I think it's a diversion of what's really going on.
Yeah, that's their job, to blow everything up. And
all I saw is all over the news, this Chinese air bubble. I'm like, right when I saw it, I was like, who cares? And this is me that loves to dive into this stuff. I'm like, something so stupid. Like, let's see if we can put a giant balloon somewhere and get everybody freaked out. And people just buy into it. I think it's a diversion. I think it's just a diversion, making, you know, a mockery of the people. But yeah, it seems to be a satellite. I don't know. How do we know it came over from China? People are saying, well, it was tracked. It's a little fishy. Everything about this story is very, very fishy.
Yeah, wishy-washy.
Yeah, I don't believe it at all. But yeah, this is typically where I'll read a lot of my news.
Okay.
The markets, because every day they'll come out with their news for the day. And I am not sponsored by XM. I don't know why. This is just the ads that come up. I've heard a lot of bad reviews about them, so I wouldn't go off and start using them. Anyways, this is where I'll get all my news and all that. And every day they'll come out with, it's the weekend, but every day they'll come out with, you know, morning market news and all that. And after the news, they'll give a report. That's my favorite. And then the other one will be Forex Factory. More so, I just use this to scan really quickly what's coming out for the day. But if I want to jump to click news, then I'll see, like, you know, what did Jerome Powell say? Usually these guys keep it updated pretty quickly. Tweets and all that, and what people say, they keep this one updated. But I never actually click on the articles. I just, you know, read the headline and maybe this section. It's all the same stuff, you know, diversion. Let's continue.
All right, thanks.
All right, we're on a roll. We're on a roll. So Euro New Zealand, let's just keep it simple. That's the only demand. That is the only demand. Euro Aussie. I like the daily supply. It's a very wide base. But that would be it. It's a very wide base, but yeah, I guess so. I think you got a good little 1 hour zone. Like, I'm going to break this into zones. Like, these are my zones. I'm not drawing out anything in here, right? You can tell a difference between this and this, right? You can tell a difference between these two zones versus that. Okay. Regarding 1 hour, right? Daily, it's the whole base. Eurocad was the short. We'll talk more about this in the in the Wednesday trade review meeting, but that's the same thing. We'll wait. We'll go back to this Wednesday. That was in the watch list and in the trade review tab. Euro Swiss, don't see anything interesting. Pound New Zealand, somebody mentioned they like something. I think it was Hannah. 4 hour daily or daily time frame. I don't like anything. I think I would definitely like this on a 4 hour time frame, because these are all 4 hour lower low, lower highs, and we're probably going to find something on a 4 hour in there. I agree. Nice little 4 hour supply up in here. That's a nice little zone. I like that. Also reacting off of 200 moving average, so it's not something I would sell straight up, though I'm sure some people might do that, but I would much rather use this as a higher time frame and then look for shorts once prices come back up into it. But based off of the current price action of it, you know, you could say impulse correction, just the general news, right? Yeah, I don't have to do the whole thing, but you guys kind of get the idea. Kind of 1.6 to 1.8 average move to the downside. And then we just made a 1.8 move to the downside, right? So maybe a move up to this general realm, kind of following maybe that 200. And ultimately, maybe up in here for the higher supply. Was there an analysis or question that you guys had on this or no? Is good? Yeah, good?
Yes.
So, Euro, New Zealand CAD, weekly supply up from here. It's been slightly removed. Well, let's just go down to the daily. Nothing here on the daily. 4 hour. You're trading inside a tested, or you're sitting inside a tested 4 hour zone that worked extremely well once before by touching it and taking off. So, you know, this whole market has had this big move to the downside in general across the board. So that's why I think if you're going to see any type of correction, it's going to be happening, you know, over the next 12 hours. And so I understand if you're looking for buys and then sells up in there. Okay. Then CAD Swiss. Let's skip that. I don't like that. No. Up in here. Maybe up in there. Weekly, or sorry, daily supply. Also kind of touching this 200 moving average. So it's going deeper. And then if we go down to a 4 hour, we can really refine it down to say that's where the extreme of the daily supply is. You kind of got that supply up there. So it's like 2 levels on top of levels. And so prices do push above here. That won't bother me from taking a short, right? That will not stop me, I should say. So I like that. I like both those areas. The whole daily zone is correct. To really get any type of short on like a 4 hour or 1 hour, we really need to see this momentum breaking and that opposing zone being removed. Okay. We need to see like a move like that. Then I'll consider a swing short. But till then, no. I think actually in this area could be used as demand zone for scalps as well. Because you'll, in this case, using the 4 hour, trading in an uptrend, trading inside demand, that's something I like. Any questions on that?
You said you like that. You like that demand. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it didn't really remove, well, strongly.
Yeah, it's making higher highs and higher lows, though. You know.
Okay.
And it's got some decent first leg out. VIX, yeah, go on.
I think it did remove there, right? It just says kind of hidden by your box. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
VIX, it's just continuing lower, so we won't spend much time with this, but just a good general sense to know where the VIX is. Any stock analysis, any individual stocks, any individual currencies, markets that you guys wanted to look at, any questions about the methodology or trading in general that you guys wanted to know? Well, we've been going for a solid hour and 15. I thought this was a fantastic meeting. And if you guys don't have any more questions, we can end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sure you guys learned a lot about how to identify good quality tradable zones, more about the top-down analysis, and how to properly draw out supply and demand zones. Like I said, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to let me know in the comments below, or you can always reach out to me on social media at MoneyballAustin. I really appreciate if you guys did enjoy this video is to hit the like button now, subscribe, join the channel. And if you guys would like to learn more about the Moneyball Trading program and the Discord, head over to moneyballtrading.com. That will be in the description below, where we are helping traders become consistently profitable in 90 days. That's where also you can get your free training and get more information on the supply and demand methodology, as well as ebook. All right, so thank you guys so much once again. Appreciate if you guys liked the video, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.